So here is the design we're going to make, and this design is available in the description box below. Hi! In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make what we call a 4-flap folder. So that's the type of housing we use a lot in archives because it can be very versatile and we can adapt it to a lot of objects in your collection. So books, I have an example here. So I'm going to show you. We can also adapt it to flat documents like this one. You can see that you can put in 4-flap folders flat documents that are themselves housed in polyester sleeves. And also objects or pieces of a book that fell off. For example, this spine that fell off from a book. So very versatile type of housing, as I was saying. There are different ways of making a folder like this one. The one I'm going to show you today, here is the material you're going to need. A scalpel or any type of knives that you feel comfortable with. A pencil, sharp pencil, bone folder, label and permanent marker, a cutting mat, a large ruler, and a square that will make things easier for you. And obviously you're going to need your housing material. So this is a card of 230 gram per meter square. And this is perfect to make this type of folder. So the first thing you want to do is to measure your book. You're going to measure it in height. You're going to measure the width, and you're also going to measure the depth. And for this, you have to go at the level of the upper board and check the measurement, just like so. So I'm going to cut the largest measurement I have for the horizontal line and for the vertical line. So you can see on the design here that there's going to be first one width of the board, then the depth, another width of the board, the depth, and a width. So I'm just going to calculate that, just sum up all those measurements, and I'm going to report that on my large piece of card. And then I'm going to end up with a large square, and that's going to be the piece of card I'm going to need to create the folder. So here I have about 557 millimeter, and try to report that measurement at least 2 times, preferably 3 times. And now you can trace your line. If you want to make sure that you're square, you can use this. And yeah, it's perfect. So now I'm going to do the same for the vertical line. So here, the length I want to report is longer than the length of my ruler. So that's not a problem. So here I have 60 and I want to measure 686 millimeter. So I'm just going to put a mark at 60 twice. And now I just have to add 86 millimeters. Where's my mark? Oh yeah. So I'm just going to add 86 millimeters. twice. And I'm going to join the marks. I'm going to check it with the square. It looks good. Okay. Now it's time to cut your rectangle. So again, you want to cut towards you. If you have a guillotine, that's even better. Not everyone has, but if you do, that's a great equipment to have. So here I cannot cut everything, so I'm just going to move my ruler carefully, making sure that I'm in line. Put my body weight on the ruler, and this is cut. All right, I'm doing the same for the other one. There you go. So now we have a nice piece of card, and we want to report the dimension of the book. So I know I first have the board that measured 171 millimeter. 171. And then I have the width, 22 centimeters. So you can either move your ruler like this, and I'm moving it as I go, or you can additionate and calculate the sum of 171, so of my width, and with the depth. So here I'm just going to do it like this, but you can also just sum up. 22. 171. And yeah, and your last measurement should be the end of your rectangle. We do that again at the top, so we're sure that we're having straight lines. Yeah. So now I'm just going to join the dots. So don't press too hard with your pencil, because these are lines we're going to try to erase afterwards. So you see how it's important to have a long ruler. It makes your life much easier. Oh. Okay, now on the other direction. So I'm just gonna add the height of my book, which is 214 millimeter. Then the depth, that stays the same, 22 millimeters. a height, 214, and then 22. And now this should be 214, perfect. Once more. Okay, and now we join the dots. You can do that with a scorer, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, just use the pencil, because you can, if you push too hard on the paper with the scorer, you can actually damage the material and make the folder weaker. So at this point, if you want to check that the measurement of your books are correct, you can just put it in the middle and just see if your book fits in that square you just created. Okay, so now there are some of the parts here that we're not going to need, so we're just going to cut that. So all the corners, we're not going to need any of these corners. So this, we're going to remove, that, and that. So yeah, it's nice to actually mark the areas you don't need, so you don't make any mistakes. And mistakes can happen quite quickly. So you're just going to cut. And when you cut, always better to have your ruler inside your design, because if, let's say, I just go like that by accident, I'm going to go in the area I don't need. So try to protect your folder with the ruler, and always cut if you're right hand like this with the ruler on the left. So I can do this one already too. Okay, if you feel like it's not coming off yet, just don't tear it. We'll do that later. You see, I moved a bit my ruler because I didn't put enough of my body weight on the ruler. The stress of being filmed. Okay. Okay. This one maybe I can remove now. Yeah, here you go. Oh, I forgot to get one. Okay, and now I'm just gonna make sure everything is well cut without tearing the paper. It's very tempting sometimes to just take the piece of paper because it's only attached by 1 millimeter, but that makes a difference. And here. So now you have a nice cross shape design at the moment. This can be used for other projects or recycled. So now we're going to score the line that we marked before. So still with a ruler, I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to follow the line. So give it a little space because the bone folder takes more space than pencil, if you get what I mean. So hopefully you can see on the camera. I'm leaving a little bit more space because this is thicker. So you can square it nicely, go under it. I'm keeping pressure on the ruler and I'm going underneath. So we have a nice start of a fold here. Doing the same on the other line. Okay, and you do the same for the other lines. Try to find a bone folder that can score really well, that's a bit pointy at the top. It's also possible to shape your bone folder, but we didn't cover that in this online session. But if you have questions, please let us know. Okay, so now we're just gonna mark the folds even more by really just folding them really nicely and passing it one time with the bone folder. As I said, you can do that with a Teflon folder as well, but you're gonna have a little bit less strength, but that works great. Also, you're not gonna have any polishing of the surface with a Teflon folder. Which it doesn't really matter here. Okay. Okay. So first, this one seems to work well. Yeah. So you can either leave it like this, that's totally fine, and put a label on it, obviously. If you want to tie it up with textile tape, that's also a possibility with 2 linen tapes or cotton tapes there. Or what you can also do is, what I'm going to show you now, is to create a closing system with a little strip that's going to go in a slip. I'm going to show you that now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a little strip here that's going to be we're going to be able to insert in a slip there. So the folder is going to close really easily without any additional tapes or anything. The width of the tongue, it's quite flexible, but we're going to make it 2 centimeters. We think that's a nice length for any type of faux flap folder. So I'm just going to mark the middle of this edge. So I'm marking the middle, and then I'm going to take 1 centimeter on each side. So here and here. And I'm going to do the same, a few centimeters in the center of that square. A centimeter on the right, 1 centimeter on the left. And then I'm going to join these dots horizontally. Don't press it too hard, just go around until the middle of the square, of the rectangle, more or less. Then I'm going to take a distance of 6 centimeters on the tail edge and 6 centimeters on the top edge. Then I'm taking 4 centimeters because I want the tongue to be 4 centimeters long, here and there. And I'm just going to join the 4 centimeter mark to the 6 centimeter one. So we have a nice angled shape. So you see, all of this we're gonna remove. So now that we have a nice design, we have the delimitation for our strip, we can just cut it. So still cutting towards you. Strip and okay. So now I'm going to put the book back in. Close the inner flaps, this one, and the exterior flaps. With a pencil, I'm just going to mark here, so I know exactly where to do the slit. Just going to remove again the book, put it aside, turn over your design, and now we're going to open the slit, which is here. So sometimes it's not really straight, so you can just check with your square. That looks nice. And you're gonna go from point to point. Oh, yeah. And try to go a little bit over the mark you've done. So because you want the slit to be a little bit bigger than your tongue. And then you're gonna make another slit just next to that one, just 1 millimeter with 1 millimeter width, in order to make it super easy for the tongue to slide in. Otherwise it can be a bit tricky sometimes. Here you go. And now I'm just going to cut the sides. Should be quite easy. And then here. Normally it should go. Yeah, here you go. So ultimate test. And here you go. You have a folder that closes really nicely and that looks very smart in your collection as well. Another thing you could do to make your folder with an extra benefit, something a little bit extra, is to round the corner, because sometimes square corner can catch on other object, on other housing. So that's a possibility. And if you want to do that, you just need a coin, a round one. And you're just going to round it with a scalpel. Just like so. Oops. Here you go. So you have a nice rounded corner. You can also do it with scissors. Just try to be careful. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the aim is not to have square corners, so that's totally fine. So when you put your book back, the last thing you need to do is to label it. Again, with a permanent marker. The lid on it. And the label always at the same spot. Here I decide to put it on the upper right corner. And here you have it. A nice 4-flap folder.